Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, and thank you for joining us. My name is Dr. Emily Durender, and I'm the Chief Scientific Officer of Obthera Incorporated, and I'm also the co-chair of Live Smart Texas. And today's webinar is hosted by the Michael and Susan Dell Center for Healthy Living at the UT School of Public Health in Austin, in partnership with Live Smart Texas. And before we get started, I just wanted to mention a few housekeeping announcements. First, this webinar is being recorded and it will be archived along with the other presentation slides on our website at msdcenter.org. And if you have any questions during the presentation, please go ahead and enter them right into the questions box, and we will have time for plenty of Q&A at the end of the presentation today. So I'm excited to introduce you to our speakers today. Joining us from It's Time Texas, we have Vanessa Castro and Sam Gervase, who will speak to us about It's Time Texas Community Challenge. So Vanessa Castro is a community health and wellness professional with 11 years of experience working in both the Miami and the Austin metro areas. And as the Central Texas Regional Director for It's Time Texas, she oversees projects and relationships in the Austin, San Antonio, and Brazos Valley areas. So Vanessa is passionate about addressing health inequities through diverse and inclusive interventions powered by community engagement. Vanessa received a dual bachelor's degree in sociology and anthropology and a master's degree in dietetics and nutrition from Florida International University. And then Sam Gervase joined It's Time Texas as the Community Challenge Program Director in October. Prior to his current role, Sam has a background in healthcare finance and sales leadership in community health organizations. He is passionate about finding ways to connect grassroots community health interventions with traditional medical care. So Sam received a bachelor's degree in business management from Boston College. I will now hand it over to Vanessa and Sam to start their presentation entitled It's Time Texas Community Challenge, Using Competition to Activate Individual Behaviors and Build Momentum for Policy, Systems, and Environmental Change.
Thank you so much. So yeah, we are with It's Time Texas. And for those of you who haven't heard of us, we are a statewide nonprofit. And we have various programs, events, and initiatives that are all seeking to empower Texans to live healthier lives, build healthier communities, and contribute to a healthier state. And so in short, we believe Texas is best when Texans are healthier. And so today we're going to be talking about our Community Challenge program. So thank you for the introduction. I'm Vanessa Castro, the Central Texas Regional Director for It's Time Texas, and I've been with ITT for 4.5 years now, and I'll let Sam give a quick hello.
Hello again, everyone. Again, my name is Sam Gervase, and I am newer to the It's Time Texas team, which has been really refreshing and a great experience thus far. So excited to tell you more about Community Challenge today and how it plugs in with a number of the other It's Time Texas initiatives.
Thanks, Sam. So yeah, today we're going to be talking about our Community Challenge program. And specifically, we hope that we will be able to demonstrate the importance of both grass tops and grassroots activation. We hope y'all will be able to recognize how Community Challenge acts as a funnel for our other ITT initiatives and leading to broader changes in policy, systems, and environment. And we hope that everyone will leave with clear next steps on how to be involved and support the Community Challenge as either an individual or an organization, institution, or collaborative. So just to get some conversation going, some virtual conversation going, we have some questions we'd like to ask. If you can type your answer into the question or the chat box. Our first question is, if you were encouraging a friend or coworker to start a healthy behavior, what are some things you would recommend that they do? And so you can type this into the questions box. Okay, so I have a response: start habit tracking and breaking down your goals into daily goals. I love that. Start small. That's really great advice. Invite friends, I think, is another great recommendation. We can move on to the next question. How often do you keep a New Year's resolution past the month of January? So type your answer in the questions box. These actually show up to me anonymous, so I won't know who's saying them. So no judgment there. I can share that I probably have never kept a resolution past the month of January. So it looks like a lot of people are saying never. Someone said all year. Okay, that's good. That makes me happy. It works for some people. Others think rarely. Okay. Someone said March, and that's really great. That's like a fourth of the year. All right, so Sam, I'll let you jump right into explaining how the community challenge works.
Awesome, thanks, Vanessa. So a lot of you are quite familiar at this point with It's Time Texas and our community challenge. We've been around, this is actually our 10th community challenge. So super excited to see the track record and the history that we've had of this program of success and really seen it grow. But for those of you that are less familiar with the It's Time Texas Community Challenge, just want to give you a very brief overview of what it is. So it is an 8-week statewide health competition where we really encourage the individual to focus on their physical, mental, and emotional well-being. So it's not just about, like we said earlier in the conversations or the prompts just discussed, we have to start small. So that's really what Community Challenge is all about, is just getting that start. And then within the challenge, super important as well, is that importance of social support. So having your fellow community members, your coworkers, your friends, your family, all on the same page and really supporting you and recognizing your commitment to healthy lifestyle change. So another component of it is the parameters. So as humans, we like a start and an end. So you can't build a habit overnight. So what Community Challenge does do, though, is provide that initiative, that spark per se, for you to really make that commitment and have that sense of fresh start. Again, we did launch January 3rd, so we just kicked off, and a lot of folks do have those New Year's resolutions. And while the Community Challenge is not meant to be the end-all be-all solution for healthy lifestyle change, it does provide that jump start for people to really start to get in the habit and really create that initial foundation for healthy behaviors. It is very accessible. Something that's been really important to us is that with Community Challenge, it is all through our mobile app. So very exciting that you can hear or you can see, very exciting that you can participate like all through that app, which makes it more accessible for folks that are checking their phones every day. We're all always on our phones. And then lastly is that sense of recognition. So we do recognize the individuals as well as the community members, that the communities and the school districts that our top performers. So people like to be rewarded. So we are very excited that we have over $2,000 of different prizes and incentives throughout the community challenge to keep people engaged and committed to those healthy lifestyles. Vanessa, next slide, please. Thank you. So I just want to talk through a few of our key engagement metrics. So unfortunately, this past year, we were impacted by COVID-19 as well as the Texas winter storm. For those of you calling in across the state of Texas, hopefully you were able to still have power, or at least were able to find a warm place to be for those couple of days of chaos. So we still had about 18,000 total participants this past year. Prior to that, in 2020, before COVID and with less moving parts in the world, we had about 33,000 participants. And we had this past year, we had 221,000 health activities logged. So in terms of a health activity, we have three main buckets. The first is healthy eating, the second is physical activity, and the third is water consumption. So we'll talk about a few more specifics to give you an idea of what those look like, but that is just showing that people are engaging with through the mobile app. And super exciting is that we had almost 230,000 virtual high fives. So that is fellow community members supporting each other, recognizing the healthy actions that their fellow community members are making and really lifting that up. So a huge part of our challenge is not just that individual health activation, but creating that snowball effect and really getting people to support each other. And then lastly is building partnerships. So you'll see here we have a full range of different types of partners that we engage as part of the community challenge. So we had 10 different community health collaborators participate last year. We had 42 employers and community partners that signed what we called an MOU, so that memorandum of understanding, that really just recognizes our commitment of how we're going to support them throughout the community challenge. And it also has them recognize their commitment to promoting the community challenge to their active network. We had 16 school districts sign an MOU, but did have participation across 250 school districts, and lastly, 22 local governments. So you'll see there that in terms of partnership, there's a lot of different types of organizations that benefit from Community Challenge, and it's really meant for those organizations that are looking to empower that individual member within their organization, within their network, within their sphere of influence. All right, thank you, Vanessa. So now in terms of the individual experience, a few things to really call out here is, I just want to help people recognize like the process of how people really hear about Community Challenge. So we really rely on those community leaders and those health champions to drive awareness for Community Challenge. So again, we're not necessarily advertising and marketing to all the individual directly, but really relying on those people in those communities to be the advocates for health. And once they've signed up and registered again through the mobile app, we then are all about how we keep them engaged. So it's sharing, resources and content in regards to staying committed to those health goals. And it's really about logging those activities and again, trying new things. So we have a full range of options. So for folks that are maybe not as far along in their fitness journey, the walk is the place to start, right? For that individuals that, are more physically active, we have more, running and other types of more physically intensive exercises. And even too, as it relates to things like a healthy breakfast. I don't know if for anyone else, but I sometimes find MyFitnessPal to be overwhelming. You are logging the food by each type of ingredient. That to me is a lot, but in the It's Time Texas Community Challenge app, you're actually just snapping a quick picture of that meal. It still has that same level of accountability, but it's a little more accessible. It seems more approachable for individuals that are really just starting, that health journey for themselves. As it relates to reinforcement, like I said, we have about $2,300 of incentives throughout the challenge. So recognizing those community members that are most engaged throughout the week. One thing that I do want to call out here, which is really nice, is that we do provide weekly incentives that, let's say you have a bad week, maybe you were traveling for work or you had something happen, you had a sick kid at home, anything related to just taking up bandwidth and throwing you off your routine. The next week, kind of the clock starts over. So we do have a grand prize, but we do break up that reinforcement into week chunks. So that way we can really make sure that it's not like an all or nothing, taking away that zero sum perspective. And then lastly is recognition. So we do award those top individuals, school districts, and communities. We have historically always had an award ceremony, which we are recognizing those communities and school districts. And again, the last 2 years have actually been virtual, but depending on the circumstances with COVID and public health guidelines, we would love to have an element of in-person celebration this upcoming year. All right. And in terms of this next slide, so really important for us to kind of communicate. We've talked a lot about thus far about the individual community member, but what does this look like more on the community level? So first and foremost is we are identifying those leaders within communities and providing the tools they need to activate their network. I know in regards to a health challenge, whether you're in HR, whether you're working wellness for your city, all the different types of folks that we have on the call today, arranging and executing and implementing a community challenge is so much work. We have, again, three full-time employees dedicated to this, and as well as reaching into like all the different various staff members at ITT. But to do it well really is very intensive, and that's what we do. Is we're kind of that turnkey solution for those community leaders to be able to provide valuable content and programming to their networks, but really minimizing the bandwidth it requires from them. From then, it's really, again, activating our goals internally is 40,000 individuals in 400 communities. So one thing I want to really call out here is it's meant to make health fun, right? I think sometimes when we think of public health initiatives, it can get just pretty sticky and sometimes far away from that. We're always driving towards the goals, but the thing that's super exciting about Community Challenge is that it really is meant to be that spark and create momentum. So an 8-week challenge, is not going to, in and of itself, change the culture of health within an organization, but we hope it gets people excited about it. It creates that momentum for further conversation around PSE change. The next piece there in regards to the data is that, with over 40,000 people participating, we captured a lot of data in regards to their health behaviors. So we can then use that data and compare it side by side with other metrics in regards to the outcomes of health in that community, insurance rates, to create a larger roadmap and a more holistic picture of how we can make health initiatives and really integrate, implement, and bring things and initiatives that the individual community members are asking for. And lastly, it's part of a larger health ecosystem. So at ITT, we have a number of other programmatic pillars that Vanessa will talk about more shortly, but it's really about implementing change at various levels. So whether it's within just one organization and like one nonprofit, one health coalition, one local government, how do we see that as successful, and then sharing the best practices and really plugging into the other elements of It's Time Texas for our network, our resources, and really collaborating to make it easier for our local organizations across the state of Texas to implement change. With that, I will hand it over to Vanessa.
Thanks so much, Sam. So yeah, let's jump in and start talking about individual impact. And so when an individual registers for the community challenge, at that point, we ask them to set goals. And these three are the most common goals: eat healthier, be more active, and drink more water. And so in terms of eating healthier, 83% of participants we surveyed last year had set this goal. 98% of those participants were able to make progress towards their goal, and 18% were able to meet their goal of eating healthier. In terms of being more active, 88% had set this goal, and 96% were able to make progress towards their goal of being more active, with 29% being able to actually meet that goal. And then drinking water, drinking more water, 77% had set this goal, with 94% making progress towards that goal and 40% meeting their goal of drinking more water. For each of these goals, over 75% of participants indicated that they were fairly or completely confident that they could maintain or improve progress towards their goal, which is great for us because that's our big picture goal, is that we want to empower our participants to be able to maintain the healthy habits that they start during the challenge. And then we wanted to share with you all some community feedback. So our participants shared with us some things that they really enjoyed about the program. And so those were social connectedness with other participants in their communities, motivation to work toward their health goals, the use of the Community Challenge app, accountability to their goals, how easy it was to participate, and that sense of competition. And so Karen, one of our past participants, shared with us, I especially enjoyed the app this year because I was able to see what other people were doing and got some ideas from them. When I saw that people were meditating as part of staying healthy, I tried it and really enjoyed it. And Tasha, another past participant, shared that this challenge has motivated me to celebrate the small things, enjoying a walk, achieving my water goal, and watching what I eat. So I'm sure some of you are familiar with It's Time Texas, but I wanted to dive deeper into the framework for what we do. And so we divide our work into 3 different impact areas. The first being the community challenge. And this is the most common point of entry for individuals. And this is really where we're trying to build momentum for change. Our second impact area is our community capacity building work. And this is where we partner with community leaders to build capacity. And we're doing this through the use of toolkits, our community lab program, consulting, and some policy, system, and environmental change. And then our third impact area is the Healthier Texas Summit series. And that includes our Healthier Texas Summit, which I'm hoping some of you have attended. And then we also have regional workshops. And these are a forum to share best practices and challenges, learn about emerging trends and innovative ideas, and connect with like-minded leaders. So ideally, we want to be engaging with community champions throughout the community challenge and then connecting them to our other impact areas. And so we wanted to share with you a case study. Garland ISD, we first connected with them during the community challenge. They were really active and engaged during the challenge last year, and so we were able to connect with them. And then using insights from the community challenge data, we we're able, through our community capacity building team, worked with Garland ISD SHAC to create a policy system and environmental change roadmap and a framework for implementation. And then finally, Garland ISD leaders were able to attend our Healthier Texas Summit this past year as both panelists and participants. And so this is something that we try to achieve with as many community partners as we can. And so finally, how to support the community challenge. Easiest ways to participate in the community challenge as an individual. You can register at ittcommunitychallenge.com. You can also share with your organization and your network. We have a community partner resource hub with flyers, social media graphics, templates, videos, anything you would need to share with your community about the challenge and get people excited. And then finally, if what we said made you think of a partner somewhere, connect us with them. If there's someone that you're like, oh, you guys should really talk to these people, we definitely want to get to know them. So please connect us.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for both of you and your wonderful talks. That was, it sounds like a really great program. So we're going to go ahead and take some questions now. So just a reminder, please be sure to type in your questions into the question box. And so we already have a first question, and let me just pull those up. It looks like the one question is the program available in the app and the program available in Spanish?
Great, I can take that, Vanessa. So super exciting, like the vast majority of our promotional resources are available in Spanish. We have the registration landing page that's available in Spanish, and then the only thing that's not fully integrated into is compatible for being in Spanish is the activities in the app. But overall, they have icons, and we have general descriptions that have made it easier for that to be they'd be able to understand what that activity is. But the goal would be to have that fully in Spanish next year. So that was something that we talked about as kind of one of our changes and improvements for next year.
Awesome. And while we're waiting for more questions, oh, there's another one here. Can you tell us more about the work with Garland ISD and how you implemented the PSE challenge? Or sorry, the PSE change.
Yeah. So, that's a really good question, and that's I will need to get back with you on that, because I know I've heard about our work with them. I just don't know the specifics, and I'm not on that team. So hopefully I can follow up and maybe send something in an email afterward.
Yeah, I think generally they're just a good example of, they initially heard about us through Community Challenge, and since then our community capacity building team has done quite a bit of work with them. And I think overall we've done a lot historically with SHACs, and that's definitely one of our specialties. We actually have a team member that's fully dedicated to working with those school health advisory councils. So her name's Maggie. Maggie would be our main point of contact. So I'm sure we'll be sharing our contact information. So if you'd like to learn more specifically about the work with Garland, and we can connect you with Maggie, would be the best course of action.
Great. And the next one is, are you affiliated with Get Fit Texas? If not, it might be an awesome opportunity for a connection. Just someone reaching out. Are y'all affiliated with that?
I do not believe we are, but that's, again, I'm newer. Vanessa, is there anything else that you would have insight to there? Perfect. We'll definitely take note of that and make sure to look into it.
Okay. Let's see. When a SHAC participates, does the program work with parents, staff, and students?
Great question. I'll answer that first, Vanessa. So the really cool part about how we've worked with schools historically is there's so many different opportunities to be involved. So the first step would be we actually attend every year the annual TABR conference, which is a annual statewide conference for physical educators. And so we actually attended that in December. There's about 1,400 physical educators across the state. And I think something that comes up is that a lot of teachers always go to the PE point of contact for, hey, how do we get healthier? So the first level of it is Community Challenge is a great initiative for employee health programming, so for the school staff. The next would be, as it relates to Shacks, you can use the Community Challenge app as long as you're over the age of 13, so primarily for high schoolers and above. So that's, again, another way that you can get students involved. And then we definitely have had some Shacks that have really taken it and run with it and disseminated it across all their communication channels to use them really as that community leader, that voice, that activator to get those community members involved. So I think that's the best part, is when you start having, especially for down in the valley, we've done a lot down in the Rio Grande Valley, where we have the school district involved, the local government involved, some of the nonprofits, and you start having that density of networks where everyone's kind of hearing about it from different directions. That's really when we see the most success, and those Shacks are a great way to really disseminate across those various types of engagement.
Awesome. Anything to add to that, Vanessa?
Yeah, I think that Shacks are a really great example of, working with a collective to engage with all different kinds of community members. And so typically we have parents, staff members, students if they're over the age of 13. And when they're not over the age of 13, we still have a lot of involvement from students through their teachers, and their teachers are logging their activities. They're focusing their lessons on My Plate or physical activity, and then logging those. So we have a lot of success working with Shacks.
Awesome. Very cool. Next question is, do you have any information about the possibility of helping other states get involved in setting up a program like this?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So within our community capacity building team, we actually have people that are dedicated to consult with other institutions on how to create different types of interventions. And so since Community Challenge is something we've done over 10 years, we have a lot of expertise in this area. And if there was another state that wanted to learn more, we could set them up with our team member and then kind of evaluate where they are, put together a roadmap for how could they achieve something like the Community Challenge.
Awesome. And let's see, one more. Are you currently conducting additional case studies with other school districts to include a more robust assessment of the diverse population in the state of Texas?
Yes. So we are, that's actually one of our target kind of population for the year. We're trying to work with a lot of school districts. We have areas where we'd like to see, we'd like to target different types of areas, so metropolitan areas, rural areas, everything in between. And so that's something that we're working on, and we're hoping that we can use those case studies along with our data that we get from Community Challenge to paint a bigger picture of what's going on in communities.
Sam, did you want to add anything to that?
I think the other thing I would add is that, as it relates specifically to Community Challenge, it's just such a great activator. And like I said before, it's a very fun way to get people involved. And, I think it really just starts the conversation more about as it relates to health, because what I've learned, in the short time I've been with ITT is that Shacks across the state are in very much different levels of development. I think different school districts some school districts are very proactive about their student health and their employee health, where others are really just getting started. So as it relates to our team, we've had exposure to working with some of the most robust and built out shacks and their programming, all the way to folks that are really just starting and really looking to leverage the best practices that we've seen across the state. So I think that's the beautiful part about, you know, our team and the community capacity building, specifically with shacks, is that there's a lot of places of where a lot of people are in different places, and we just have we had the exposure or like line of sight into all the different ways that you can really build up that programming.
Yeah, okay. And then this next question is really about successful outreach strategies that you've seen work best to get like more community members involved in the community physical activity and nutritional coalitions.
Definitely. I can take that one first. I think the biggest thing is, from my experience, so I come from prior to joining ITT Texas, I was like a sales leader for a health coaching business. And I think what I've seen to be super visible is that it all comes back to like having a support system. So like first and foremost, like how do you kind of kick it off? I think that's a big thing, is what is that like inflection point? So I think it's first and foremost like rallying people around that. So for those, we'll say those like really those advocates, those health champions, if you can find a way within your organization to really break apart your organization to like have those health champions in each of those different functions or physical spaces, I think that's super important. I think one of the reasons that the community challenge has been so successful, though, is that it is a competition. I think people like the nature of competition. So really broadcasting the standings and making that fun, communicating and lifting up the fact that who's doing what, and creating that sense of back and forth. And that's a few of the elements that I've seen as best engagement. But the last thing is just leveraging the communication channels that you have. So it's physical flyers, you know, in the break rooms. It's, you know, the email campaigns, it's social media graphics. A lot of times it's not just one, it's how do you leverage those different communication channels, and being okay with the fact that sometimes you have to engage someone more than once, right? Like they might not be in the right frame of mind in that first communication to get started. And that's why we follow up and give people multiple chances to raise their hand.
Yeah, yeah. And Vanessa, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, so the question is a little complex. So are they asking how successful strategies for getting community members involved in coalitions or coalitions?
Yeah, so I think the word coalitions is there. I don't know if whoever sent the question can clarify. So yeah, maybe it's being part of a bigger group also is what they were asking.
Yeah. So yeah, I think this is where we take a kind of multi-layered approach. We do a lot of grassroots community outreach and engagement. We're trying to reach individuals, and we have a lot of other programs and initiatives where we are working, providing direct services. And so we have a network that we can activate for in terms of grassroots, and we have great relationships with the community. And then we're also taking the grass tops approach, and we're looking for community leaders like church leaders, PTA members, teachers, anyone who can really organize and relate and has developed that sense of trust with their community and their respective neighborhoods. And so we do our best to empower those people and give them the tools that they can to take our initiatives, our programs, and make them work for their community, their neighborhood, their network. And then how do we get them involved in coalitions? We have a dedicated team member that works with coalitions, and she has actually a whole training series on how to get community members involved in coalitions and how to make that equitable, diverse, and inclusive. And so I would recommend checking out some of those tools that we have.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that was a big question. So they're just coming in, lots of questions for you two. So the next one is kind of a simple one. Have you worked with the CATCH program, which is Coordinated Approach to Child Health?
Yeah, so we have worked with the CATCH program. We have a long history with them. We also, in the past, we've done a lot with youth programming and curriculum for instructors to incorporate physical activity. And so they're a long-standing partner, and we really cherish them.
Awesome. And let's see. Oh, this could be a good one too. What's the most interesting thing that you found from looking at the data from the community challenge? And let's get an answer from both of you. I know, Sam, you're kind of new, but maybe you have some insights anyway.
I think one of the things that just kind of catches me off guard as the new person in the room is how excited community members get about a community challenge. So I think just the level of engagement that we see from certain individuals, particularly in certain pockets of the state. Like I said, the Valley is one of our most engaged areas. And just the level of commitment that they have to like really rally behind this, to me, has been super exciting, because I think just from my perspective, it's super hard to find that balance of scale and impact. And like, I think that community challenge does do a great job of like getting people involved and then really, again, making it fun. So I think that's one of the things that maybe isn't necessarily data, but just from like a participation thing, has been super enjoyable. The only other thing that I would share too is that people actually do really enjoy the app. I think that's a big takeaway, is that like leveraging technology as part of our health intervention has been a big asset as opposed to a barrier. So I think that's something that the more we can make it accessible to the individual user, the better. And then I guess one last thing before I turn over to Vanessa is that people actually wanted more notifications. So last year I think we had 2 notifications per week in our mobile app, but people wanted more prompts, more reminders. I think I'm always bombarded, I feel like overwhelmed with notifications, but I think that was really encouraging to hear that they wanted more nudges. So I think that's just a few things that the takeaways I have so far.
Yeah, on my end, I think the most interesting thing from the data is, well, first we have a lot of engagement from like local leaders, like mayors, community, or rather city council members, superintendents of school districts. And so when they're engaged, we get a lot of feedback from the community of like how important that is and how motivating that is. And it really starts, it's a great opportunity to start some dialogue. I think the data also reveals gaps. We're looking at gaps in assets. What is the community accessing? What are they not interested in? And so we take some of that, some of those insights, and we can start having those conversations with our local leaders.
I see. Okay, makes sense. Okay, and then just kind of a practical question. The age requirement for the challenge is at 13 years and older. Can you confirm that? Anybody?
Yep, I can confirm. You have to be 13 or older. So if you're 12 and 360 days, you have to wait till your 13th birthday.
Okay, got it. And if a company uses this for their employees, do you ever have people go in, like in person, to work with these people, or is it all through the app?
So in regards to how we engage our partners, so a lot of times for example, like Smithville is hosting a health fest on the 25th. So that's a smaller town outside of the Austin metro area. So we are going to be attending as essentially a vendor, but also going to be providing like a workshop on health. So some programming we do with different opportunities like that. So we do definitely attend in-person events, and we will, as needed, promote or be present for different types of registration events. But generally, the goal is to really make sure that that leader within an organization has all the tools that they need to promote the challenge within their organization. So generally speaking, we don't always come on site for it. Most of it's kind of giving them the tools to make it that turnkey solution.
I see. Okay. And is February 27th the start of a second 8-week long challenge, or is it just the one right at the beginning of the year?
It's just the one. So we have it's an 8-week challenge. We actually are exploring the opportunity for organizations to effectively leverage our technology and platform throughout the year to run their own challenges. We're still kind of in the works there, but that's one of the things that we would love to share with our partners, kind of as an ability to re-engage their organizational members throughout the year.
Okay. And in the app, can you create a group specific to certain schools or certain like employers or different groups? Or is it just one big group?
Vanessa, you want to take that or you want me to take it?
I think you should take it because you know that very well.
Perfect. So in the app, there's a few ways that you register as an individual, and then you also, when you register as an individual, you'll automatically, based off your zip code, you'll be part of a community. So if your town has a mayor, you are in a community as part of the community challenge. So you're competing as an individual and a community member automatically. But then we have two sub challenges. We have a school district sub challenge, and we have an employer/organization sub challenge. So essentially the process there is that if you are an organization that would like to participate, we will add you to that registration dropdown, and then in order for us to be able to share that data for your organization participation throughout the challenge, we do ask that you sign a MOU, so a memorandum of understanding. It's a non-legally binding agreement, but just again sets that expectation of what we're going to be providing you and your agreement of how you're going to promote the community challenge. But all in, very simple. My contact information will be shared, and if you're looking to share this within your organization, we can absolutely do that.
Okay. And another question about, is the platform available for individuals, or is it going to be rolled out eventually to be available for individuals to sign up?
So any individual can sign up. So I think this is to clarify, like you don't have to be part of a school district, don't have to be part of an employer or organization. It's available for all Texans over the age or 13 or older.
Okay. And then can you share your contact information again? So someone would like to accept, like connect you with the City of El Paso Live Active EP programs. I don't know if there's a way we can, so is it up in the beginning of the slides? I'm trying to remember.
Is there a way I can type it into the chat for everyone to see?
So I believe, I don't think so. Let's see if there's a way to, maybe if you, yeah, I'm not certain. So what we can do is like we have all the registrants, and so it's Live Smart Texas and the Dell Center. We can follow up with the participants when we send the link. We can follow up with contact information and get that from you all. Would that work?
That's perfect. If anyone who's listening wants it now, my email though is just sam@itstimetexas.org. And then Vanessa is just vanessa@itstimetexas.org. But we'll make sure that's sent after.
And it's okay if they reach out to you directly?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, that's great. Thank you. And then another question, actually, This one is for Sam. How does a community sign up? So like, how does a smaller town like Killeen compare with Austin?
Great question. So again, if you have a mayor within your town, you automatically are added as, you're automatically a community within Community Challenge. And then we do have 5 different size categories. So we have small, medium, large, and then metro areas. So we do have, we recognize the winners at each of the 5 community sizes. So the nice part is that if you're from a small town, say Killeen, you're not directly competing with the metropolitan area of Austin. So it's a way that we make it more equitable and have organizations of or communities of various sizes the opportunity to be recognized and to compete with apples to apples.
I see. Okay. And are you looking to replicate this program outside of the state of Texas? So it sounds like, so we get a lot of people at this webinar from all over. So it sounds like a lot of people are interested in doing it in their state. So can either of you speak any more to that? I know we kind of addressed it, but.
Yeah, so our nonprofit is called It's Time Texas. We focus on Texas. Our funding is kind of specific to that. So we're not looking to replicate the program outside of Texas anytime soon. But we would be happy to work with another state if they were interested in replicating this program.
Awesome. And can other states use the app, or would they need to just work with someone from It's Time Texas to be supported in a different way? It sounds like the latter is how it would work, right? So the app is currently just for people in Texas.
Theoretically, there is no limitation that prevents you from registering outside of the state of Texas. We directly obviously promote and are targeting Texans, but if individuals do happen to sign up outside of the state of Texas, we'll just make sure we exclude that data from our reporting. But overall, again, it's I don't want to say it's an absolute no, because again, the app is there. So the more people we can help, even if they're not in the state of Texas, they can absolutely leverage the technology.
Okay, gotcha. And when is the next Healthy Texas Summit? Did I get the name right? Is that what it is? The summit where when you kind of get everybody together?
Yeah, so the next Healthier Texas Summit is the end of October or the beginning of November. It's usually in that time period. I don't know exactly the exact dates yet. We are still trying to figure out the logistics with COVID and the ever-changing situation there, but we're hoping that will be kind of not an issue in the fall.
Right. Okay. So it's in the fall. And then you all mentioned that you were kind of open to, connecting with other organizations and potential partnerships. Is there anything specific that that your organization is looking for, like any specific type of partner or resource that you want to, make a shout out to everybody about?
I can take that. I think ultimately we're looking to work with organizations that are trying to create that culture of health. And I think that looks very differently based off like the type of organization that it is, whether it's a community health collab or coalition, whether it's a SHAC, a private sector employer. I think ultimately our goal is really just to provide those tools to that organization that is excited about health. So, I think that it varies so much based off your traditional health insurance of what types of preventative and wellness initiatives are offered through your employer as part of your organization, et cetera. So we're happy to really connect with any organization that is looking for this type of tool to really engage that individual within their organization and get them excited about health. Vanessa, anything you'd add? Anything you want to add?
Yeah, I think in addition to that, coalitions or any kind of collaborative, those are my jam, and we'd love to connect with as many as possible.
Okay, good to know. Awesome. And then it looks like we do have one last question. I know there were prizes for winning communities in the past. Are there going to be prizes this year? Vanessa, do you have any insights on that?
We do. We have prizes. I know you want to hear my voice, but Sam knows more about the prizes.
Okay.
Absolutely, I can take that. So like I mentioned earlier, we have 5 different community sizes, again, just based off population. So really exciting that we are able to provide $1,500 to the winner of both the community as well as the school district, you know, within those 5 ranges. So in total, we'll be giving $15,000 out to the most engaged school districts and communities. And the really cool part then is what we do is we work with that winning community or winning school district to how do we best put that money to use, right? So it's really how do we implement other health initiatives that maybe came to light because of community challenge, that since that, oh, like we really would like more access to this, or is there any way we could add that? So really just meant to start that conversation. $1,500 is, you know, a lot of money in some situations, and then in others, depending on the types of programming, it's maybe not going to get you fully there. But the best part is it's really that way that kind of just to start that conversation with our community capacity building team and let us help you to not only build the framework, the plan, but also help with the implementation as well.
Right. Okay. Well, it's very exciting what you all are doing, and it looks like we have covered all of our questions. So I just would like to say thank you to both of you, and thank you everyone for attending today's webinar. We appreciate you being here. And remember, this webinar will be archived on our website at msdcenter.org. And thanks again for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.